I've got something really interesting for you this week that the chances are you haven't seen before, because we all know that drills like this take SDS plus bits like this, but they can't take straight bits or hex bits. And we also know that normal drills can take straight bits, not a problem, but they can't take SDS plus bits. But things have changed, because this new drill from Bosch not only takes SDS bits, but can also take a standard straight bit, which you just tighten up. Isn't that clever? This video is sponsored by ITS for all the tools you need, who are good enough to lend me this drill, which actually isn't on the market yet. It's coming very soon, but when it does come, yes, you'll be able to buy it from ITS. I'll put a link to their website down in the description below. So let's have a quick look at this. This is a Bosch 18v-22X. Now, the Bosch 18v-22 has been on the market for over a year now. It's quite an established cordless SDS drill. The X at the end means it's got this chuck that can take essentially any type of bit you want. It's called Onechuck, and it's been out for a little bit, but most people haven't come across it, but I think it's a brilliant solution. So let's have a look at the chuck before we have a look at the drill. The chuck is essentially made up of two parts. The rear part can pull backwards and forwards. So if you put your SDS Plus bit in, it holds itself just like a standard SDS Plus, but to remove it, you just pull it back and it comes out. Now the front part is just like a standard lock-in chuck. You can wind it all the way out, so you can actually put in some quite small drill bits. Let me just demonstrate by putting this really small one in here. It's just like a standard chuck. So we just center that, and we can just, there we are. So that just works as a standard lock-in chuck. And then obviously you can take that out. You wind it out so that it's got room for your SDS Plus size bit to go in, and then your SDS drill bit just fits in the normal way. So isn't that clever? And I'm not sure why we all haven't heard of this, because it has been out for a little bit. Maybe in time we'll come across drills with this sort of function on them more and more. It's got 2 joules of power, which is sort of what you would expect for a cordless lightweight SDS drill like this, a no load speed of just over 1000 RPM, and an impact rate of just over 4,500 beats per minute. Maximum drilling diameters are in concrete 22mm, metal 13mm, and 26mm in wood. It's 2.6 kilograms without the battery, and it's also got a couple of nice features which my cheaper SDS drills just don't have. The first one is this anti-vibration feature, where you can see you've got play between the main handle and the body as well, just to take up some of that vibration, especially if you're on the chipping action. And the other one that I really like about this, that just drives me nuts with the other SDS drills that I've got, which is when you're chiseling, if you've got a flat bit like this, you want it orientated the right way round to do the job. Now, on my other SDS drill bit, what I need to do is sort of keep moving it until it's sort of round the right way before you actually then put it on the chipping function. But with this one, there's a setting where if you put it halfway between the drilling and the chipping, you can actually just simply move it until you get to the position you want. Then you lock it off into the chipping function, and then that from there on doesn't move. And the next feature is a bit of a safety feature for when you're drilling, and that's an anti-kickback feature. You see, if you're drilling into something hard like concrete, especially if you're drilling with a large diameter bit, every now and again there's a chance that bit might snag, especially if you're hitting rebar in reinforced concrete, which means suddenly the drill bit stops spinning and the drill starts spinning. It happens really quickly, and it doesn't really matter how firmly you're gripping it at the time. There's that chance that it suddenly starts spinning, at which point you can end up breaking your wrist. I very nearly broke my wrist with a Hilti drill on site years ago with a large diameter bit. So this has an anti-kickback feature in it, which means that if you're drilling, I'll just put it on the drilling mode, and then it suddenly stops and the machine starts spinning, it will cut out to basically save your wrists. A bit like this. And you'll find this on a lot of the more premium drills like DeWalt and the other manufacturers, but it's a nice feature on this and definitely could save yourself being injured at one point. The other really nice attachment you can buy for this is the Bosch GBH 18v-12, which is the dust extractor that just clips onto the front, which means if you're drilling inside you don't have to also take another extractor. It just fits on the front. Anything that comes out the hole that you're drilling gets sucked into this mini dust extractor, which suddenly means that this is a complete unit with dust extraction and whatever drill bit you need to put in the end. So if you're a sort of workman that's going into someone's house regularly, all you need actually is one drill which takes multiple different bits and with a dust extractor, and that's quite a nice combination to have. Really useful and quite easy to lug around. It's an 18-volt version, so it just takes the same batteries as the standard drills, which means that you end up with quite a nice compact unit, a couple of kilograms in weight, that really can do everything from SDS chipping to standard drilling. But as usual, there's no point in just talking about this on the workbench. Let's get it out, doing some work, doing some drilling and chipping. And I'm going to compare it to my relatively new and cheap DeWalt SDS cordless drill to see how they compare. So the full name for this drill is the Bosch Professional GBH 18v-22X. Obviously the Germans don't know what GBH really means in English, but anyway, there you are, it is what it is. And in some ways I start with quite an unfair trial actually, because this is pretty hard, solid concrete block that's been there many, many years. So to be honest with you, a little chipping hammer like this that can only deliver a couple of joules isn't really the tool that you want to be breaking down a wall like this with. So the drill keeps going and does its best, but to be honest with you, it's the wrong tool for the job. But it's worth trying just to see if it has the power. I then change over to my DeWalt, which is the DCH 273, and this has got about the same amount of power. I essentially had the same result. So instead I try a 16mm SDS drill bit, which at first wasn't working very well with the Bosch until I worked out I actually had it in reverse. So once I put it to forward, which means it's using the cutting bit properly, it made the world of difference. And even though this is hard concrete, it adequately drilled a 16mm hole horizontally. When I tried exactly the same in the DeWalt, I essentially had the same result. I decided to increase the drill bit size to 20mm, and just out of ease of use I decided to drill vertically, which the Bosch handled equally as well. And this really does show that this little wall that I've got around the perimeter of my old barn, I do need to hire the right type of tool to demolish it, else it's going to take me literally all week. And then finally I decided to drill into a very old piece of saturated timber. And I can't really compare this with the DeWalt because the chuck just doesn't accept this type of drill bit. So this really pushed the Bosch to its limit. It smells like a highly creosoted, old-fashioned post that's also damp and obviously been in the ground for 20-30 years. More than a couple of times it stopped on me, which I think is actually the anti-kickback coming into play. So as it's binding, it actually stops to save my wrists. But eventually it got through it, and there were some holes that just went straight through without a problem. So I can't really compare it to the DeWalt because I can't use this drill bit in the DeWalt. And that's where this drill really comes into its own, purely because of the chuck and because of the fact you can use any type of drill bit on it. This is, I would call, a chipping hammer. It's far too small for the concrete that I tried it on just now. But anything indoors like plaster or normal brickwork, this will work absolutely fine. And the idea of being able to put a dust extractor on the front and to use whatever drill bit you want, use it as you want cleanly without having to take multiple drills and just being able to attach anything you want at the front. So I really like that idea, which could make life a lot easier for a lot of tradesmen. As I said, this will be coming out very soon, not quite sure when, and I don't know the price tag when it does come out, but keep an eye open for it. Probably early summer, I would guess. So at least when you do see it, you know what it is and what it looks like. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.